Hi, Richard Branson. So you're a digital nomad as well. You're working remotely.
But he's too old for digital nomad.
So it's just about making the money and being able to live wherever you want.
13 years ago, we started to travel with my wife in Latin America. We started in Mexico, and at that time I was doing website programming I didn't even have a computer. I was
just writing it.
No, basically I had a...
Or you sent it by mail.
Welcome to another episode of Final Peace Talk, and today we'll be talking about digital nomading. Hi, Olaf.
Hi.
So, Olaf, are you a digital nomad?
I don't think so. A lot of people say the people who are living remotely are digital nomads and they consider themselves as digital nomads. But me, at the moment, I just consider myself an entrepreneur who's living in Spain.
Oh, so yeah, what does it mean, digital nomading, actually? I was a website developer, web programmer for many years. So basically already 13 years ago, I was living the life which people call it now digital nomading. But for me, it's also strange. I don't believe in digital nomading is more working and traveling, right?
Yes, I think so. A lot of people say that they want to be a digital nomad, which basically means working and living remotely. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to do it. You could also do customer support or anything else. You don't really need to be running a business. And I used to do that as well. I used to be in Thailand. I used to be in Australia. And I traveled around Asia a little bit more. And I didn't consider myself as a digital nomad. I really thought myself just a person who likes to travel and wants to make money at the same time. But I guess the term digital nomad is this what it means. So you're able to work and travel at the same time. And as I said, you don't need to run a business. But as you said, you have done it for a while. You've been to how many countries?
I was more than 60 countries.
60 countries, really?
Yeah.
60 countries?
60.
60.
Yeah.
So what are some of those countries? Mexico, Australia, where have you been?
Yeah, Mexico, Australia. No, some Latin American countries. In Asia, not so many. Malaysia, India, Thailand, and basically China and Australia, in that part of the world.
Okay.
In Latin America much more, in Europe a lot of countries, and but I think digital nomad, it's more like a passive income term. Yeah, so people are attracted.
People want to earn passive income, or people want to live as digital nomads.
I remember 10 years ago we were living in Malaysia, and at some point we received a lot of Russian travelers, our friends, in our house. We were renting a house for $100 or euros, big two-floor house for a month. It's like
it was a good price.
No, it was in the area of
crime and danger.
No, it was in the area of tourism. It's like just in some region of some city.
Okay.
And it was big house, so we invited a lot of friends to come over for a few days. And I remember we didn't have internet in our house because it was very remote area, kind of. There was no really good mobile phone connection even. And of course 10 years ago there was no really mobile internet established very well in the world. And we were waiting for one Russian couple to arrive, and they were arriving by taxi at 10 a.m. in the morning. I was waiting for them. And when the guy came, he asked "Oh, do you have internet? I have to work." He just left Russia. He signed up some contract with the government of Russia, with some ministry, to do some work on their website. And he started to live this digital nomad by working and travel. And he came and, "Do you have internet?" I said, "Sorry, no." And he's like, "Oh shit, I have to do some work until the morning." I said, "Sorry, in 2 kilometers there is an internet cafe which is 24 hours, you can go there." But luckily I went to sleep, but when I woke up, he was working on the internet in the morning, because with some other two Russian friends, which were like engineers. So one guy had a SIM card which had kind of internet connection, and another guy knew how to kind of activate it. It was quite technically difficult, but they managed to get him internet that night. But I was like, I did that when I met that Russian guy who was so ambitious to travel and work, because he was about to travel in Asia and working for a government project in Russia. I was like feeling so sorry for him, because I did this for 3 years before I met him, and I was trying to program and see the countries. It's so difficult because you have to focus. It's also when you are like changing a lot the environment, you cannot be productive, I think.
So basically 10 years ago you were living in a house in Malaysia without internet, and you were working as a programmer at that time. So you were working at where?
So how it worked, I had a computer or small laptop, maybe this Asus AE or AAA or whatever it was, the model, the first small computer. And I was working with some local web server on my computer, programming, and then copy-pasting all the files into my USB stick, and then going 2 kilometers to the internet cafe and sitting there uploading and adjusting. So it was
really interesting. Things were a lot different. Even like 10 years ago when I went to Thailand, I didn't have internet. We had internet cafe, and we went there to just talk with our family and stuff like that. So it was a lot different as it is right now. So you can basically build whatever business you want almost from your laptop. You can do programming, whatever, e-commerce, whatever you want. But you said you lived in Malaysia. Like, where else have you traveled and lived? You mentioned Mexico and Australia?
Yes, at the beginning, we, like 13 years ago, we started to travel with my wife in Latin America. We started in Mexico, and at that time I was doing website programming I didn't even have a computer. I was
just writing it.
No, basically I had a
or you sent it by mail.
Yeah, I had a USB stick, probably maybe at the beginning 2 gigabyte, and then I bought in Mexico or Ecuador 4 gigabyte, which was like a big space, and I used this USB stick to carry all the files. So I basically come to the internet cafe and plug it, and I don't know, I have no idea how it was working, but
it worked.
But it worked.
Right.
It was very stressful, I was sitting sometimes in the cafe between 10 o'clock in the morning until they closed down, like for 8 hours during the day. But it doesn't mean that I was like working every day. I was probably working maybe 1 or 2 days a week like this, because it's really impossible to concentrate, at least for me. That's why when somebody is dreaming of digital nomading, I want them to tell that please focus on like coming in one place and then maybe working for 2 or 3 months, dedicate to work, and then enjoy traveling maybe for 1 month.
Yes, because when you're moving around all the time and when you're doing work for clients, for example, programming or marketing or anything else, then it might be a little difficult.
Yeah.
Because you don't. When you travel in Asia, then a lot of hotels and apartments have really bad internet connection. And even when you buy the best SIM card, then at some places it's just not working. So you would have to find a place where you can do the work for a few months, or even for like few weeks, and then you can move on. But of course you can. Some people say like you can do it while you're traveling as well. It really depends. But I think especially in Asia, it's a little bit easier in Thailand. But when you go to Vietnam or like any of these places, then it might be a little more difficult, because a few years ago I needed to use PayPal in Vietnam, and I was having really hard time doing it. But when I went back to Thailand, like everything worked smoothly. It was really, really difficult.
I think nowadays it's really easy. Like for example, in Europe now you buy a card, internet SIM card in one country, and it works.
So it's a lot easier, and the internet is really fast. But let's talk about being a digital nomad basically means working and living remotely at the same time. So my question for you is this, Augustas: is Richard Branson digital nomad? Because he lives on Virgin Island and he has his companies everywhere else. Like, so is he a digital nomad?
I think digital nomad term also includes the age. Maybe it should be below 30 years old, I think.
So when you meet him, so you can't say, oh, Richard Branson. Hi, Richard Branson. So you're a digital nomad as well. You're working remotely.
But he's too old for digital nomad.
So it's just about making the money and being able to live wherever you want. Because I've read stories about people who are much older than me, but they're still traveling and they're working remotely. You don't have to have an e-commerce or like online business. You could also work in the farms, pick watermelons, pick apples. I mean, I used to do that when I was younger in Australia. So you don't really need to run an internet business. You can run whatever you want.
So what can we suggest for people who are interested in digital nomading?
What I think is one of the best ways to discover what you really want to do and to meet new people. Because when you're traveling around, especially most of the traveling what I've done was in Asia, like people need to be nice because they want to find their way in life. When you're at your home country or, I don't know, somewhere in a bigger country where there are not so many travelers, then people sometimes seem to be a little bit cocky, you know, they're not that much open, everybody's busy, everybody's doing their own thing. But when you meet foreigners, for example in Thailand, Malaysia, anywhere else, then people are open. They want to talk about what they're doing. They want to talk about their experience because they're looking for ways to improve their life, whether it's in business or work or anything like that. So it's always easier to find that type of people when you're traveling. And my recommendation is to go for it and just do it. And when you do it, you will probably have some hard times as well, because you know you might run out of money and stuff like that. But these things happen anyway, so you might as well do it while you're young. You know, then you have no regrets.
Yeah, and what Olaf said, it's quite easy probably to find in nowadays these communities of other people who are traveling and working. So basically, if you go to a bigger city and co-working space, I think it's a good idea to start.
Yes, of course, you can find a place there. And if you would want to travel in Asia, even if you do customer support or anything like that, you make less than $1,000 a month. You can live with that in Asia if you're alone, and you can travel, but you can't have a 5-star life. But you can have a normal life. You can relax on the beach, you can go for a run on the beach and do things like that. So you can live with that money. You don't need to make $2,000, $3,000 a month to make a living.
Wow, that's a great advice by Olaf. I want to warn people that they should be careful by, it's like being attractive to passive income. It's the same like being attractive to digital nomading. It's not like easy life, I would say, at least from my experience. You need to either concentrate on traveling or working. Combining both, it's maybe possible if you need to do some short project within short period of time.
So it's not easy to do it.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's not for everybody. Everybody can't do it. So a lot of my friends have tried to do it, and they mostly ended up in debt, and they would have to go back to their job because it's not easy to make money while you're living in some of the other countries.
So we were happy to share a little bit our experience, what means for us digital nomading. If you are interested to try it yourself, you can write to us. Maybe we can give you further advice, or the countries which are maybe good. There are some digital nomading hubs in the world. For example, Medellin in Colombia, Chiang Mai in Thailand, I think. I'm sure there are a lot of big other cities which has big communities of people working remotely, but those cheaper locations are like in Colombia, Thailand. I don't know, in Spain, I think in Barcelona it's a big community of entrepreneurs.
Probably.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, please write to us, and Olaf or me will be happy to answer. And thank you, Olaf.
See you in the next one.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments, ideas, feedback, suggestions, please comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik. And if you want to learn more about my work and Olaf's work, please check the links below this video, and see you in the next episode.